2 home games left, and then we took care of business and secured a 2 seed, so we should be hosting next week for some playoffs, but that's our last week of classes. So it's just one of those times where we have to stay focused on and off the field, finish up final exams strong, finish up your classes strong, and then obviously on the field we want to keep competing to the best of our ability. So I do think the girls have gotten a little funny at practice. It seems like some days I think they're using lacrosse as their stress reliever, which is a great thing. But I think next week we'll really start kind of dialing back in and making sure we're focused. Playoffs are a big deal. So we want to keep them focused on the field and off the field as well, make sure they're doing what they need to in the classroom.
Yeah, and that balance of being a student and an athlete, we talk about the athlete side of it so much, but we really don't zero in nationally when it comes to the student side. And I try to change that, obviously, here on Wake Up Call, that we focus on the fact that they are students first. So how do you balance that, and what's kind of your leadership words of advice to them when you're getting ready for the most important part of the season here as you make a push toward the postseason, and at the same time you want to make sure that they take care of what they need to take care of for their long term in their life, which is obviously their finals and different pieces of their majors?
So they came to school for academics. Obviously, lacrosse is a part of it, but they want the degrees from Moyne. So that has to be a priority for them. Just good example, yesterday I said, make sure you're going to class in the morning because we don't typically play a 3:00 game on a Wednesday, and if we do, it's usually away. So there's temptation to just not go to class in the morning, but we know we're going to be traveling. We know we're going to have some conflicts coming up with potential playoff games. So I'd say go to class, go to class, go to class. So I'm just constantly reminding them. I think their parents are probably doing the same, but we just keep trying to push them to be excellent both on and off the field. I think that just reminding them of that every day is important.
And being, like you said, being excellent on and off the field. When we look at the makeup of this team, and you and I have discussed kind of how people have matured and how they've grown and whatnot, as we're deeper into the season now, who are some of those maybe younger players that came onto the team that you've seen a high kind of jump from where we were at the start of the season to now? Because I know that you've gotten to see a lot of people in action when in some of these games where you were able to continue to shift players in when you had a high margin of victory. What have you seen from some of the youth of the team?
I think Izzy DeFato, who's a freshman, and Reagan McQuaid have been kind of a tag team on the draw circle, both taking the draw for us, only a freshman and sophomore. So they've stepped up. We definitely are a older team this year. We have the experience from our fifth years. But Kat Amico is another one on the defensive end who stepped into a bigger role this year. So, it's been great to just see the development of our youth players and younger players. I don't know that all of them are necessarily getting the minutes that they want right now, but just in practice every day, we've made a huge jump, especially since the beginning of season, of really challenging and pushing each other a little bit more in practice. And that comes from your younger players working harder, playing faster, and they just needed some time to catch up. It's a fast game, and there's such a drastic difference of the speed from high school to the college game. So giving them a little bit of extra time, those preseason weeks, to really catch up was important. But they've been doing great. I'm excited for next year because you never want to look too far ahead, but I just think the development has been great this season. So it makes me feel confident going into the fall for next year.
Being a ranked team all throughout this season, what are the positives and maybe the adversity of that? I mean, is there any kind of, do you feel like the team ever kind of focuses and leans on that and buys into the hype, or is it never like that?
No, we don't talk about it. To be honest, the poll, it's great, but it's for fans. It doesn't play into NCAA, so it's really not an important thing to us. I think it's out there, and the only place I think it really helps is saying, hey, we're ranked here and this team isn't even ranked, or this team is ranked this, and we should be able to handle this. But at the same time, you see upsets happen every single day. Specifically in Division II, Colorado Mesa had a huge upset over Regis last week, who was unbeaten before. So every day you have to show up to play. Again, the rankings are a cool thing for whoever likes them, but they don't matter ultimately. It's what we do and how we execute, and that's what we need to focus on every day.
Speaking here with Liz Beville, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins women's lacrosse team, with a couple games to go here in the regular season. We've seen in the second half of games that you've had surges and you've had the ability to swing things in your favor and come back, grinding out victories with these comebacks in the second half. Bring me into that and just what you've seen from this team, that never quit, never die mentality, and that there's been numerous games this season where you've been able to swing things in your favor by scoring late goals, by being able to put it on success, having goals in succession later on in a game where maybe it didn't start off the way that you wanted it to.
I think our team's confident in their abilities, and I don't think that ever sways. Whether we go down by a couple goals or we're up by a couple, they stay confident. I think that sometimes they just need those reminders. So during timeouts or half times, we just talk about the things that we need to fix. And I think we've been fortunate a lot of the times when we're in those closer games, it's fixable things. It's not that we don't have an answer for it. We just need to fix something on the defensive end, or we need to fix something on attack. And I think that they've been pretty resilient to fix those things quickly. We had 2 losses early in the season where we didn't fix things quickly and we lost. So they understand the importance of making in-game adjustments. But I just think a big part of that is the players' confidence never wavers of if they're going to get the game done and if they're going to win the game. And that's just really important in making sure that they make those changes and then ultimately find ways to make stops. If it's stops that we need to be making or it's goals, they find a way to do it on the field.
And you talk about making those changes and their ability to do that. So, I mean, you can coach them as much as you want to and all throughout practice and all throughout the season. But what can you say about the coach-player trust that you have of what you have taught them in a game itself, that they're going to be able to make those adjustments and make those changes and kind of understand the timing of when they need to do it? How much are you kind of hands-off in a game and how much are you hands-on, in your opinion?
I think it goes both ways. So we start some attackers off on the sideline on the draw, just because we have some kind of draw players going in and then coming out. So we have constant, I would consider, starters on the sideline that I talk to every single draw. So as far as kind of making plans or talking about adjustments, those conversations happen throughout the entire game. But we also practice a lot of scenarios and what things need to happen, what play calls need to be made. We do those in practice leading up to games so that they feel confident to make those changes on their own. I think if you're spending too much time coaching during a game, then you haven't really done your prep work beforehand. So in that sense, I would say we try to do everything we can to prepare for any kind of scenario before the game so that the players do feel confident and that they can make those play calls. Obviously, we're going to use timeouts, half times in between quarters to talk about things. But the players know. Usually when I start to say something, they already know what's going to be said. So we're this far into season, they know when they need to step it up or when they need to go harder in something. So my staff puts a lot of trust into the players to make those decisions on the field.
And you have definitely put together a heck of a season. Like you said, the 2 losses and the 13-2 record coming early on this season against teams that ironically were both ranked 3rd in the nation at the time. So when you reflect on that and you see kind of how far this team has gone, I know that you're even keel, and we kind of see you like never too high, never too low. But do you celebrate in your own way? I mean, I know that your team tried to, on the 30th anniversary of women's lacrosse at Moyne, they tried to douse you with some liquids, hit me and you. But do you try to celebrate a little bit with them, or do you do things during the season that allow you to kind of take that, exhale that breath, so to speak?
I think because the season is so packed, there's not a ton of time for the celebrating. We obviously had a big win over Delphi, but then we played a game 3 days later.
Yeah.
So we celebrated for about 24 hours, and then it's like move on to the next one. So yes, I think after every game, you kind of take that deep breath and you say, hey, we got it done. We checked the box. But then you got to quickly move on to the next one. We are, I think, playing our best lacrosse right now. I think that we are a different team than we were at the beginning of the season, hands down. So this is the time that you want to be playing your best. You want to start peaking in May or the end of April when your playoffs start happening. Everything you do at the beginning of the season doesn't really matter. It's not how you start, it's how you end. And so I tell them how proud I am of them. I think they probably hear it more from parents, fans, or different things. But I think the ultimate goal for us and where a lot of our girls are reaching to get is that conference championship game or a playoff game into a national championship. So we're not totally satisfied. I know our record's great, but there's still work to be done. And our goals and aspirations are a little bit bigger than just a winning record.
And going off of that, here with Liz Beville on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside a Dolphin Dive this morning here with the Moyne College Dolphins, a leader for women's lacrosse. There's a difference between having a good season and building a successful program. Mm-hmm. Bring me into why things are trending in the direction of the latter, of a successful program, a consistent program. You're not just building a good season. You're not just grabbing a win here and there. It's this foundation of success for years. And what you've been doing at Moyne, I hope people are seeing over these years, has really laid a foundation of consistent success. And I'd love for you to speak on how you do that and how you feel like you're building that, as opposed to winning a game or getting into this playoffs this year. It's more so building that success, building that consistency, and making sure that this is an every year thing for Moyne.
It starts with the people you bring into the program. So I will always say I was fortunate to come into a program with great people. The players wanted to win. They wanted to excel on the field. They wanted to excel off the field. And they wanted to build relationships with their teammates. And you're not successful if you're not building relationships and you don't have trust and you don't have a good time, when you're in the grind part of your season. So I think it always starts with the people that you bring in. And we're lucky we bring in a lot of girls from the Central New York area who have some CNY roots and kind of blue collar mentality. And I think that's a little bit the way I coach is we're going to work hard, but we can enjoy what we're doing. We can have joy in the little things every single day. But the girls have worked, and I'll give them all the credit. You can instill as much as you want as a coach, but the players and the student athletes, they have to implement those things. They have to do things with their teammates off the field, go grab coffee, offer the freshmen rides when they need them. Just all those little things go into it. Obviously, Moyne is a great academic school. I think the community that we have there, the professors, the small class sizes, those things challenge our student athletes to work harder in the classroom as well. And that carries over. That determination, kind of passion they have carries over onto the field too. So it all goes back to the people you bring in and what you're going to set as standards. And again, we've just set high expectations. The program won a national championship under Kathy Taylor, and she had high expectations and high standards, and we haven't changed those. And there's no reason for them to change if you keep bringing in the right people to meet those expectations.
How would you describe yourself as a coach, as you've had it under your belt for a bit here now? How would you describe your mark that you leave?
I get this question a lot from recruits, and I think it changes a little bit every year. You have to change a little bit of what you're doing. I think for me, I just really enjoy this game. I think lacrosse is the best game. I have been around it since I was literally born. So yeah. I just have this deep passion for the game, and I think it's a simple game. Um, but you have to do things well.
Yeah.
You have to catch and pass well. You have to pick up ground balls. You have to find the back of the net. So I don't try to overcomplicate it. We do a lot of the same drills every day, and we've been doing them for 4 years
Yeah.
because they work. And if you can't do those drills well, you're not going to be able to do the next drill well. So I think I've kind of always described it as there's a disciplined approach to it, but we want to have fun. We'll put the music on at practice. We'll laugh. We'll make jokes. If somebody falls and takes a tumble, we take a second to laugh at that. It's not get back up. You're not doing anything right. It's, hey, are you okay? That was pretty funny. So that would be my biggest thing. And I think building the relationships with the players is something you have to do before you can do any of this. You can't be disciplined if you don't have a good relationship. You can't have fun, if you want them to be disciplined, if you don't have a good relationship. So it goes back again to the people you bring in, taking the time to build relationships, and then just demanding excellence from your players, and holding them to a high standard that they might not always hold themselves to.
Coming here from women's lacrosse head coach at Moyne, Liz Beville. Liz, before I let you go, you talked about being connected to the game since literally your birth, and that coming with your father, Steve Beville, and what he's done at SUNY Cortland to be so successful. And he just had his 400th career victory. You and I were talking about it off the air with a 17-8 victory at Oneonta. He gets number 400. So I know that you're always bouncing back and forth between what you're doing at Moyne and what he continues to do. What does that mean to you to see 400 for your dad, and to see that continued success for him, and to live in this unique world where it's not only special to say that you have a family member that's a coach and you're a coach, but that it's a very rare world that a parent and their child are coaching at the same time, which is truly special.
So that's the part I've just been trying to enjoy. I know it's not going to be forever. So I do, I find some joy in that. I say it, we call it double win days. So when we do have a game the same day and we both win, double win days are the best days. You can't have a bad day if it's double win day. So we've had a couple of those recently, which has been really awesome. And just, I always take a second to say, like, that's really cool. Because like you said, that's very rare that this happens. I know Taylor Gate is coaching out in San Diego, and obviously Gary's coaching. So still kind of, there's a few, but it's far and few in between. So I think just reflecting on that and appreciating how awesome it is. Obviously we've talked before about him being there when I have questions and things like that. But I think the big thing, we had a little celebration for him. But I just talked about the patience, the leadership, the dedication, those types of qualities that you have to sustain over such a long period of time. He's in his 32nd season, I believe, overall. So, it's not an easy job. Coaching is a challenging job. It's some days you're like, why am I doing this? But I think the good days always outweigh the bad. And I think that those qualities and lessons, that we have as coaches, help us excel in other parts of our life as well. But just that's what I really take a look at, is that bigger picture of everything, and how did he do that, and how did he get to that point? And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, truly amazing, and I love that double win days. So hopefully that continues here, and we know that you can come out and see the Moyne Dolphins, a women's lacrosse team. They will be going up against Southern Connecticut State today, April 26th at 3 p.m. on Ted Grant Field, and then this Saturday, April 29th at 11 a.m. against SNU as they finish off the regular season and head toward the postseason. Liz, as always, I appreciate you for taking some time, and I look forward to seeing this team's continued success. And I want to give a shout out to the fans, because they always show up no matter what time the game is and what day it is, middle of the week or on the weekend. So big shout out to the Dolphin Finn family, and thank you as always for the work that you're doing.
Thanks, Stan. Thanks for having me.
That coming here from Liz Beville here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you supporting your Dolphins in every way that you can. And definitely appreciate everything that Liz is doing, and excited to see them on the field today and this weekend as everything moves forward here with the Dolphins. And we want to thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, and cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show. It truly means a lot to me, and every moment that you spend here is truly a blessing for me. So thank you for that. Thank you for spending some time with us and having some fun with us, and enjoying this show and in the uniqueness that it is, and how we dare to be different here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So always a pleasure and always an honor and a privilege to have you here on the show. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we're going to be bringing in Jeff Lonczak on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So we'll continue in this Dolphin Dive trio today. We promise you to have on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Moyne Dolphin content. But today, we're having a trio of coaches join me here. You just heard from Liz Beville from the women's lacrosse team, the head coach for the Moyne Dolphins women's lax team, who's playing today at 3 p.m. And coming up this Friday, we have a big-time matchup on the road for the men's tennis team, and Jeff Lonczak is going to be joining me after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life. So stay with us here, and we'll be back with Jeff right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cabal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we have the opportunity here of continuing our Dolphin dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and very excited to have the opportunity of bringing in with us here on the broadcast this morning, Jeff Lonczak, going to be joining us here again, and happy to have Jeff here as always. So, Mr. Lonczak, how are we doing?
Doing great. Always a pleasure to be on. I wish I had more time to talk to you the other day when you were at the match, but we're pretty locked in. So glad to speak now.
Yeah, absolutely. And here with Jeff Lonczak inside of Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which is exclusive to our multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne. Here with Jeff Lonczak, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins men's and women's tennis teams. And so, like you were talking about over the weekend, it was nice, right? Yeah, about 30 degrees, but they said it was 53, which is a massive lie. And it was cold outside. We were up at Skytop for the NE10 championships, and your guys had to play through some elements there. What was your takeaway from that? Because you could play some indoor, you could play some outdoor. When you started the match, there wasn't a ton of wind. It was sunny outside, so the weather shifted pretty significantly, and I'd love to get your thoughts as a coach on your team's navigation through that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, for our team, it's kind of a 50-50 scenario. I mean, half of the guys clearly would rather be inside, half of them pretty much would rather be outside. But then when you kind of throw the freezing cold and wind situation up there, it's probably like 75% don't want to be out there. Yeah. And the thing is the wind, it wasn't constant. So it wasn't always going one way. So you could always kind of like hit as hard as you could on one side and then maybe really softly on the other. It would swirl. So it made things a little difficult, but hey, now we're inside. So all those variables are out the window.
How did you, despite the fact that the NE10 championship finale didn't come home to Moyne in the sense of the trophy, how did you see your team kind of deal with the elements on top of dealing with a team in SNU that obviously came out and played some good matches and obviously were one of those viable adversaries? So when you look at the adversary of the weather and the adversary of SNU, how do you feel like your team kind of took that? I heard you give them a speech at the end of it, but I'd love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, I think we could have done better in a lot of ways. It's the same for both players. They're dealing with it as well. Something happened right after doubles where Ethan came to me and said, "Coach, I can't move, I can't play." So then my brain immediately goes to what you're supposed to do, which is take him out and move everybody up. So that's what I did. In hindsight, a lot of coaches wouldn't do that. They'd say, "Hey man, play a couple points, default, and let's see what happens." I think, not to say that my morals are spot on all the time, but in that situation, it was. And I felt like in a way we still had an opportunity, which is the ultimate opportunity, which is going to be on Fridays. So yeah, I think in some ways, sometimes when you're out there on the tennis court and you're outwardly complaining so people can hear you, that can permeate throughout each court and give a sense of, positivity to the other team. So, sometimes that's got to be stopped. And, we'll address that. And I think going forward will be better.
Yeah. And like you said, you kind of corralling this team and being better in that sense of things. And then everybody had to deal with the elements. What positive takeaways did you have from the doubles, despite the not getting the point there? And what positives did you take away from the singles matches? Overall, what were some of those things that you reflected upon and said, okay, you know what, we're going to take this into Friday into the NCAAs?
Yeah, positives and doubles. Third doubles was, very good. So, that's a huge positive. We third doubles last time we lost was at Queens, and I think we kind of know how we can fix that if that opportunity presents itself to us. And that's such a huge piece at the back end to have those guys really solid, because everybody's good at one and pretty much everybody's good at two. So yeah, that's kind of what we took away from doubles. We dug ourselves a hole at two, and that was an issue that we couldn't withstand. We got to be better there. I think I got confidence that we will. Singles, Tom just took apart a fellow fifth-year guy who's the captain of SNU. He made it look like, I don't know, he was buying 50 pounds of meat at Costco. It was very, very easy for him. So that's a huge plus. And Peter, despite the elements, Peter's an indoor player, in my opinion, the best indoor player in our region. And he was able to beat a tough transfer, who's a good player by taking his time with each shot. So I mean, there's a lot of good things to look at, and I think Friday is gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, I think we're gonna be ready to go, and I think our experience is gonna bring us forward.
Here with Jeff Lonczak, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins men's and women's tennis teams, and you had told the guys after the NE10 championships when you all huddled up, you had that conversation with them of saying, hey, like, we're gonna take this, and this is gonna help us this weekend. We're gonna take what happened here today. That we know what we could do. I don't want to give away everything that you said, but there was a message of, hey, I believe in you guys, and it was like they say, like, kind of take it, reflect upon it, and let it go. It was within moments that you said, hey, we're letting this one go. We're going to take something from this. We're going to learn from this. We're going to take it in to Friday. You shifted a loss in the NE10 championship finale into a teachable moment. And I would love for you to go a little bit deeper into that, because it was an immediate thing that you did with the team.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's funny because I believe in positivity, as you know. We talked about that a lot of times, but out there on the tennis court as a player, I'm not the most positive guy. I'm the most critical of myself as anybody could be, and I'm not that way as a coach. And sometimes, I mean, I watch these guys, I listen to these guys. Like Manny, I cannot bring positive energy to his court. That's not how he operates. He thrives in a totally different environment. So I generally stay away.
Yeah.
But that shift, like, for me, like, look, I mean, okay, it's the Northeast 10 championships. It's on one of our goals to win that, and it didn't happen. But at the end of the day, ultimately, our goal is to get back to Florida and see if we can do a little bit of damage in nationals. And I think we can. So, I mean, for me to dwell on a loss for more than a second when our eyes have to be on the prize, so to speak, is kind of where I went and where I took it. Now, look, I mean, I ride back from the courts to get some food and to the townhouses up in Moyne, 30-minute ride. Casper's in the front seat. He never said a single word to me until he exited the vehicle and said, "Coach, I'm sorry." And, it's like, first thing that comes out of my mouth without thinking is, "I love you, man." And then we got way more to do, So yeah, I mean, my stuff, my positivity and my energy sometimes can feel as a little bit like lip service in a way, but I do try to keep them focused on, the future too, especially after a tough loss like that.
Yeah, like you said, the positivity, and it's tough. It came down to singles with Casper and Rodrigo, and they were both giving it all they could. Rodrigo had I don't even know how to adequately call him chasing down in the wind and getting the ball before it went out, launching it over his head, having it fly high into the air, come over the net, and keep that match alive for him. There was so many things that Casper and Rodrigo did to continue to keep hope alive after the loss of the doubles point for Moyne in the NE10 championships. When it came down to those final two guys, I know about the team as a whole, and there's positives across the board, but to specifically speak on Casper and on Rodrigo, just what you saw from the level of fight that they had toward the end of everything to give the way that they gave and to continue to keep themselves alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's Casper, I've seen it countless times. I've never seen him give up mentally or physically. So yeah, I mean, it's always appreciated by me and by everyone, and that's why we're trying to console him after he kind of loses that match. We're all family. Yeah, and Rodrigo, he's a new addition in the spring, and it didn't take him long to fit in. Like, he's been there for years, for one, and for two, like, when you see him out there on the court, he's giving everything he has, and that's another reason why everybody loves him, because I mean, he has no give up in him. He's not going to get tired. I mean, he's just going to continue to fight no matter what. So yeah, I mean, that level of commitment is huge for us. We really appreciate it.
So we're heading toward this Friday. And coming up on April 28th, we have an opportunity to see this men's tennis team continue in the NCAAs. You weren't worried about getting the opportunity to advance, and you were chosen to continue on here into the NCAAs with the shot at nationals, and like you had just spoken about a couple minutes ago. So with this team and with what's coming up and being at Queens College, we're going to hear from the guys later on this week on Friday ahead of the matchup. We're going to hear from Tom Jarry as well as a hearing from Peter. And when we hear from both of these gentlemen, we're going to have the opportunity for them to kind of reflect on the fact that they are focused on the task at hand. And at the same time, they have made it clear to me that they know what happened with Queens earlier on this season and they want another crack at it. So looking at, what's to come up this Friday and what you have here, I'd love for you, Jeff, to go a little bit into the NCAAs with Stack, St. Thomas Aquinas, who you didn't play in this year's regular season, but you have gone up against before in matches. Just what you know about Stack and what you think about the draw that you got for the NCAAs to start things off.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy about it. We like you said, we didn't get a chance to play Stack, and we played them last year multiple times. They have a bunch of new guys in. The thing about Stack is, it's Danny and Neil. Danny and Neil ran Concordia for 30 plus years before they closed their doors, and they were the New York Yankees of the East region. I mean, it's no secret they were the best. And, I appreciated them as coaches, and I've, reiterated that to them many times because, they were always the standard for me as a player, looking at them, for me as a coach, looking at them. I wanted to try to get to be as good as them. And now, I want to be better. So to have an opportunity to play them, in Queens is amazing. I mean, to get a little XE&O on you. Peter's playing Odie, kid from Greece, great kid, tough competitor, actually had cancer after his freshman year, fought back. He's a representative of the sport to a lot of different people, globally. Peter beat him last year. Peter indoors is tough. I like our chances there. I moved Tom up to 2. He's going to be playing Ludimir Triffelli, who is actually knows Manuel. He's from Bologna, Italy. So I love the matchup there. And then everything gets really interesting from that point on. Manny's going to be playing 3 against a high level transfer from a German transfer, Tobias, who is a really tough player. 4, they have another German, Leonard Lehman, who's a lefty, who's tough. He's going to present a lot of issues for Casper. It's going to be a long match. Ethan, hopefully he can be as healthy as he can be against a really high level Czech freshman who's I think only had 1 loss on the season. And then, Alberto at 6 is going to be playing a kid from the Philippines who's a freshman, lefty, Don Vins, who, from a talent perspective, he's totally off the charts. So, we got our work cut out for us. And, at the end of the day, we say it every time. That doubles point is the most crucial thing. It's hard to understand because it's just 1 point. Sorry to interrupt. It's hard to understand because it's 1 point. But like last year in the NCAA tournament, around the 16, every single team that won the doubles point, all of those matches. So it's crucial for us.
Yeah, and for that, like you said, kind of learning from the doubles match that you had in the NE10 championships, what can you say about that? And, I know we'll talk with Tom and Peter Hatton later on this week, like I said, on Friday, the day of the upcoming match for the NCAAs. But with that doubles point being so important and so crucial, what did you take away from the NE10 championship finale? Was it an atypical day? Was it something that maybe you had been seeing for a little bit and you say to yourself, okay, this is something we got to work on? Was it one of those kind of catch you off guard, okay, we need to reflect on this? Or was it, hey, I saw this building and we're going to adjust to it? And then kind of secondly, have you made any adjustments in practice?
Yeah, so and the NA10 championships. I mean, you're talking about Burling and Torres at one doubles. Those guys won the region. They've been at nationals back-to-back years. They're one of the best teams around. For us, for Peter and Manny to beat them, it's doable, and we had chances both times we played them on an indoor court where there is no variables of wind and cold and stuff like that. Manny and Peter just are very difficult to break their serves because they just both serve really big and take care of it. So I think, just that aspect would make it a little bit closer. For two doubles, I mean, my whole sentiment going into things is look, Ethan, we got a knee here. I mean, it's an issue for us, and I'm gonna, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I'm gonna bring that to Tom. I mean, that's Tom's job. Tom's the captain. Tom's the manager. Tom has to say, I'm the best player on the court. Ethan, the calls that you're making, you can't put yourself. I know you want to move. I know that might be the right play, but look, that's not what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to have to take over. So, I'm going to be challenging Tom to do that, and I think he's going to rise up. The adjustments we made, I mean, after we saw that we were playing stack, I gave Tom a call, and I said, hey, look, here's what I'm thinking about doing in terms of our lineup for regionals. What do you think? And he said, you know what, I like those calls, but I think Ethan and I should be one, and here's why. So that didn't even occur to me, and then after he said it, like I thought to myself, like, geez, that makes a lot of sense. So we made that move. So I mean, what are we going to do tonight in practice to kind of do that? We're going to be working on doubles for sure. Yeah. We're going to work on ways that Tom can kind of mitigate the issue of Ethan not being able to move well, and for Manny and Peter, I mean, it's just basics. I mean, if they serve big, they're tough. If they're really close to the net, they're just hard to get the ball by. So I mean, just those little things are going to be, kind of like our adjustments, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, what you just said here with Jeff Lonczak, the head coach of the men's and women's tennis teams at Moyne College for the Dolphins, here on this edition of Dolphin Dive Inside a Wake-Up Call. You called your captain and you had a conversation. You said, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Not every coach is going to do that. And it's so atypical for me to hear over 19 plus years of being a broadcaster. Why are you a coach like that, where you have your ideas, but you're not just sitting up high on a mountain somewhere on a throne as a dictator saying this is what it is, but to call them up and say, this is what I'm thinking, Captain. What do you think? I mean, why are you a coach like that?
Yeah, I mean, tennis for me, tennis found me. I'm lucky to have tennis in my life. And I've come to the realization through coaching it for a number of years that, the way that I prepare for a weekend tournament is not the same way that Tom prepares for a weekend tournament. It's not the same way that Ethan prepares for a weekend tournament. The way I warm up before a match is not the same way that these guys are going to do it. So at the end of the day, I kind of looked back at this and I saw like, okay, like, all right, well, this is an individual sport. Sure, it's a team. We all want to win, but we're all different. We all have a way that we need to practice and be ready to be successful. So with that, I make decisions. I love input as a person, from pretty much whomever, especially captains and upperclassmen. And I miss things. I mean, I know that. I mean, sometimes I'm sitting there focused on how good we are, and I'm not thinking, oh, okay, well, geez, like, what are these guys doing with their lineup? We can beat anybody at any time. I'm maybe sometimes overly confident. So if I can bring that to somebody like Tom, who is a coach like myself, or Fabian, who is a coach, I believe, then I can kind of maybe get a better look from an outside perspective, which is also inside, but an outside perspective to say, hey, you know what, maybe we could do this. So I'm always pretty flexible in terms of that type of stuff.
You said tennis found you. Do you feel like you've had mentors and coaches that would come to you and talk with you about stuff? Did you experience that in your own life as a player, that they would not just make a decision, but they would say, "Hey, Jeff, what do you think about this?"
Yeah, no, good point. Yeah, Steve, the old coach of Lemoyne, who I was assistant in 2007, and I played for in the early 2000s. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, you see a guy like maybe like me who, sure I was a captain, but am I a vocal captain? Am I an outwardly vocal captain? No, but like at the end of the day, like it's a little bit about, guys got to see the way I train. Guys got to see how appreciative I am of this, how seriously I take it.
Yeah.
And then, the coach sees that and says, oh, you know what, maybe this guy has some pretty good opinions. And yeah, we always talk shop on the road to say, hey, look, maybe we can do this to get better. Maybe we can do that to get better. So yeah, I guess I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, I felt empowered by other coaches to kind of make me, be the way I am for my players.
All right, coming here from Jeff Lonczak. Jeff, how do you prepare for this beyond practice, beyond kind of just scheming and looking at different things and focusing on doubles and singles and how to make guys better and working on technique and whatnot? How, outside of that, do you get ready for what's coming up in the NCAAs this Friday? Do you personally, I mean, do you have music that you listen to? Are there phone calls that you make? Or is there a jog that you go on? How do you kind of self-reflect and do something for you in anticipation of this? Because once the matches start, I mean, I've seen you at plenty of them. You just kind of walk back and forth. And in the middle of stuff, you might pull them aside and talk to them about something, but it's pretty hands-free once everything is going on. So how do you prepare yourself for what's to come this weekend in the sense of off of the court? Is it music? Is it a jog? Is it a phone call? What is it? What do you do?
You're gonna embarrass me, but yeah. So so Friday will come, and we have a 1:15 report time in the afternoon. I'll wake up early. I'll probably eat a breakfast, my first of two, and then the working out will begin. So like, yeah, I mean that's the way that I'm able to burn off my nervous energy, and it still doesn't even really work. But yeah, I mean, usually I'll hit the gym for an hour. I'll figure that out. I'll come back, eat again. Then I'll start for a walk with music, or I love listening to interviews, be it sports, music related, entertainment. I mean, I love listening to kind of psychological stuff too. Human beings talking about, their lives, I guess. So yeah, and then that'll be the beginning of the walk, and usually that'll take probably I'll probably try to get 2 or 3 miles in, maybe 4, and I'll find my way to a Dunkin', get an iced coffee, come back, and then I'll try to try to calm down a little bit and get ready. But yeah, so I mean it's a lot of physical exertion for me before a match, just to try to burn off some of the energy.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is like, and you talked about it, you go get yourself a drink, you listen to some things, you go for a walk, you sit down and eat. I mean, it's stuff that because you do. I mean, you have to kind of put yourself in that place. I mean, as much as I'm a broadcaster, I've had experience coaching before, and I've obviously played, different sports, and so for me, I even think about it from your perspective too. That if I'm there, my head kind of goes to coaching, even if I'm not coaching. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? I'm going to go, I'm going to relax. I'm going to listen to something. I'm going to kind of hang out. And what I've really found to be very helpful for me is that there's different music I listen to. And I don't know exactly what music you're listening to on match day, but it depends on my mood. I'm either country, classic rock, hip hop, or R&B. So you can, if you come into my car and my Pandora turns on, you know where I'm at that day. And so, I always joke around, if a client owes me money, there's a Rihanna song that I play. And so there's different things that I'll put out there. But if you get in my car and Rick Ross is playing, I'm amped up. I'm going towards something big, and I got to feel it in my chest. If I'm kind of feeling, if I'm kind of calm, cooling down, trying to relax myself, I'm listening to jazz music. I might be getting in my feelings in country a little bit. If I want to just let it blare out because I've been singing my whole life, it's classic rock. So it depends on where I'm at. So I know you said you listen to, podcasts and whatnot. So I have two questions for you. How does Wake Up Call make it in your rotation? And the other part of that is, what music will you listen to on match day?
Yeah, so I mean, I got to get Wake Up Call more. I can tell you right now, Friday morning Wake Up Call will be definitely more than in my rotation. That'll be something starred, and I'll be listening to for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost identical to you, to be honest. I mean, I live music is something that's completely altered my existence, and it's in a great way. That being said, yeah, being amped up, I love hip hop as well. I love even some heavy metal stuff for the gym and stuff like that, and then, I'll listen to, some sentimental stuff all the time as well. Yeah, so it definitely mixes up, and I grew up on classic rock, and I love it. I could anytime could listen to some of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's all about the mood and where we're at and what we're doing, and yeah, it's so crucial.
Yeah, no, I definitely, and I do, I like it. I like, and I love telling people, because it's funny, because you and I have talked about this before, but as a single man in society, when I do date, women will ask you what's in the car, and I'll say Rick Ross, and they'll all kind of a lot of them kind of look at me like, yeah, okay, Rick Ross. And I've been listening to rap music my whole life. Like, I grew up on LL Cool J, Mace, Diddy, Notorious, The Lox. I'm trying to think about who else did I grow up on. I didn't listen to Tupac as much when I was growing up. But yeah, I mean, I was like Bad Boy Records every day. So all the time. And I played More Money, More Problems for my mom over the weekend, and she was still getting into it. And I know every single verse. I know Mace's, I know Diddy's, and I know Notorious's. But when I do Notorious's verse, I do it as Notorious, because I've been doing impressions my whole life. So you can't say like B.I.G. You have to go B.I.G. Like, you have to just make it. You gotta like congest yourself almost, but it's fun to do. But yeah, I turned it on for my mom, and we were playing it when I was in elementary school, and I still remember where we were driving. We were playing the cassette tape single. So my mom loves that, and it's funny because some of the songs she'll be like, "Why are you listening to that?" And then I put on More Money, More Problems, and she dances every time. So, and by Luda and Lil Jon and who is it? Usher. So the Luda's the only part that I care about. It's that Luda part at the end, and it's what he says that sticks, but it's stuck for a long time. But yeah, I love that. So let's play some rapid fire. I'm appreciating that you're appreciating this. So let's play some rapid fire. We're gonna go back and forth. Tracey Roman's coming up here in hour number 2 on Wake Up Call. So make sure you stay locked in for softball coming up here in our trio of Dolphin Dive specials exclusive to the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. But let's rapid fire. I only want to do music. So I'm gonna call a category today. We're gonna music rapid fire. You and I, 3 questions apiece. Anything about music, you get to start.
Wow. First concert.
Oh. 14 years old, Backstreet Boys. What's up?
That counts. That still counts.
I did. 14 years old, Backstreet Boys. I remember 2 things. I remember where I was sitting, and I remember that there was 3 girls sitting next to my buddy James and I on our left, and they were like, "Can you throw this keychain on stage?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Because knowing me, I will hit one of them in the face and I'll get arrested." So that's like, it was a hard no for me. But I do remember that concert. It was at the grandstand at the fair. And then fast forward, I ended up working for 3 years at the grandstand, seeing all of those concerts for free, which was insane. So it was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
All right. So yeah, Backstreet Boys. Okay. I want to keep with that, Jeff. Of all the boy bands, if you had to pick one, what boy band would be your favorite and why?
Oh my gosh. I mean, because I was a boy once, I mean, it has to be New Kids on the Block to really bring you back. I mean, I can't really give a good reason other than, I mean, their hooks, the hooks of their songs were great.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, what's your second one?
All right. Favorite rap concert ever?
Oh, see, I haven't gotten to go to many of those in my life, but I would say I'm gonna answer it this way. If I had the opportunity, and this was from, it wasn't the Super Bowl, but there was a few years ago, I got shocked by Bad Boy did this like reunion, and Diddy came out, and there was this long, like kind of lit up, I think it was a lit up pathway, and it was at night. And I remember I was taking the video and I called James because when James and I were growing up, he was Diddy, I was Mace. And so I'm watching this thing, and Diddy comes out in that like suit that looked like you looked like the cover to a Pop Tart. You remember? It's like it was like the wrapping to a Pop Tart, and he comes out, and standing next to him was Mace. And Mace is doing his, his like little bit of that.
Right.
He's coming out doing his thing. And I remember standing there saying to myself, "Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind." So like, if I had the opportunity, and I have worked very diligently and very hard in my life to make my world small in a great way, I want the opportunity to not only go to one of these, but I think that I think Mace should let me come up on stage. Hopefully we build a relationship over time, and we could do a little move as smooth as Bugsy together. We could do just a little bit of that, and just have some fun with that from Can't Nobody Hold Me Down would be fun. Or Feel So Good, or More Money, More Problems. But yeah, I when I saw Mace come out, I was like, what? So, but because you don't expect to see him. By the way, there's a movie on Netflix, and I don't know what happened to me a couple weeks ago, but I made the decision to watch serious Adam Sandler movies, and I watched 3 of them. And Sandy Wexler's kind of like serious, also funny, but I was watching it on Netflix, and this is how I know that when people say, "How do you know there's a God, and how do you know God cares about you?" I say, God always sends me special treats, like little special things, and I can't describe how. And people are like, "Yeah, I'm sure it's for you, Dan." I'm like, tell me how tell me how it connects. So 2020 is when Sandy Wexler came out. And here's Sandy Wexler with Jennifer Hudson's in the movie, and she's singing. And out of nowhere, in the middle of this movie in 2020, not back in the 90s, not back when like Mace was doing his thing, whatever, in 2020, she's singing in this room, and a rapper comes into this movie that her and Adam Sandler's in, and he does his little this, and he comes in, and it's Mace. And I literally stopped. I looked up at God, and I went, "Really? How'd you know I was going to watch this movie?" Like, and I don't care what he says, but it's the same thing. His smile is the same. The swagger is the same. And I just remember sitting there going, God did this for me. Because in what world do they pick Mace in 2020 to be in a movie? Like, who does
Right.
So,
Right.
So I enjoyed that. All right, let me see here. Okay, so we talked about having similar music, so I'll stay with rap and hip hop. Favorite individual or group ever in the hip hop world?
I mean, that's just very difficult. Okay, I'm gonna do both because I kind of need to. Individual, I'm gonna say Tupac because he's kind of been there for me for all my ups and downs as a youth.
Okay.
And I love Wu-Tang Clan as a group as well. And speaking, I think maybe it's Hulu, but I think or Netflix. One of them has actually a huge like a 7 or 8 part Tupac doc coming out. So I got to watch that one.
Yeah, and I still, I pride myself on having predictions in and out of the sports world that I've gotten right over time. I feel like I've gotten more right than wrong, and I pride myself on that. One of my longest standing prediction that I hope to be right on someday is that Tupac is still alive. And so, and not only that, it's not just me. Dave Chappelle believes it, but there's something to be said about the fact that this man, he dies as Tupac, but then all of a sudden his songs start coming out years after, and he's Machiavelli, who is the Egyptian pharaoh that faked his own death so that he could protect his life. So I'm just saying, like, if Suge ever dies in jail, maybe Pac will come back out and let us know that he's alive. So
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love that for sure. I mean, how do you? I don't know. I can't figure out how you could get shot on the Vegas Strip after Mike Tyson's fight, and yeah, I mean, not find out who quote unquote shot him. You know, it's just crazy. The whole thing, and all the albums afterwards. You know.
Yeah, it's like, so yeah. Chappelle actually on the Chappelle Show made a joke about it where, like, it's a Tupac song, but he keeps like rapping about things that it had currently happened. And then at the end of it, he goes, "I'm not under the DJ booth. Don't look for me." so there's, and he's like talking about like people's dresses, and he's talking like to Dave Chappelle and in the rap song. So it's just funny. But I mean, listen, if Dave Chappelle and I are the only ones that believe it, so be it. What's your final question for me?
Final question. Okay. Gosh, I'm gonna have to pivot. Let's go. This is tough. Favorite classic rock song and band?
Oh boy.
That's
So tough. I would say, so I love Bon Jovi, and I love Journey, but I also love Phil Collins. And Phil Collins has a song that, so I have a vinyl collection that's very eclectic. It's very like all over the place. And I have No Jacket Required on vinyl. There's a song on it. Now, I didn't buy it for the song because I didn't know this. I didn't know that the song, I didn't even know about the song, which is crazy because I know a lot of the songs on No Jacket Required. But I just dropped it and I play it all the time because it's right by my kitchen. So, you know, I listen to this song almost daily sometimes. And now that I'm talking about it, I want to listen to it right now. But the song, he made it in 1985, the year I was born. The name of the song and the words of the song make so much sense in 2022. And the song is Why Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore? And it's such a good beat and it's such a good message. But writing it almost 40 years ago, and you think about it now, and like I said, as a single man in society, it is so hard to find good, like a good relationship where people give and take from each other and they work as a team. And this whole song has to do with like, why doesn't anybody stay together? Why doesn't anybody work through stuff? Why doesn't anybody like think about the other person? And it's a song I fell upon, but I'd probably have to say that song hits me different. And then I'd have to go to the Rent, original cast of Rent on Broadway. And the song One Song Glory is a classic rock song that's very Bon Jovi-esque. And it's a game changer. I will like power sing that song to the point where I don't even care if my voice goes out. So, yeah. But yeah, One Song Glory, definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna look up that Phil Collins one for sure.
Yeah, why doesn't anybody stay together anymore? You gotta listen. It's on YouTube, so you can listen to it. So my last one for you. This Friday, they announce you. So they say, you know, Moyne Dolphins men's tennis head coach Jeff Lonczak. People, right? You run out onto the court and you wave. What song do you come out to?
It's easy. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Metallica.
Okay.
I don't know. That just came right to my head. Yeah, I mean, I think, that one goes in my war mix. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, that coming from Jeff Lonczak, I appreciate it. Appreciate the time, as always, brother, and definitely giving my best to you and the team coming up this weekend, this Friday, and being out there in Flushing, New York at Queens College for an opportunity to move forward in the NCAAs, and I hope that y'all do. This Friday, Peter Hatton and Tom Jarry will be joining me on Wake Up Call to give their thoughts as they step forward into the postseason. Jeff, as always, thanks for everything.
Oh, thank you so much, Danny. Love it.
I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care. That coming here from Jeff Lonczak of the Moyne Dolphins men's and women's tennis teams, and the men's team going into their NCAA opportunity that they're going to have this Friday, like I said. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. Of course, Wake Up Call will give you a picture in picture of the Moyne men's tennis team for the Dolphins. So very excited for that. And of course, I wanted to get you the exact time here. So if you do want to tune in and keep tabs on what's going on, if you're down in the Queens College area, then definitely go out to the match. And if you are going to be paying attention from afar, that match is going to be this Friday, April 28th at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time against St. Thomas Aquinas, a.k.a. Stack, in Flushing, New York at Queens College. So a lot of great stuff coming up for the tennis team, and hopefully more life and a berth down to the great state of Florida. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside. Tracy Roman coming up right after this as the Dolphin Dive Trio continues on Wake Up Call. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. And you have had many dolphin dives. We have truly just dove right into the dolphin pool this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, starting off the show with Moyne women's lacrosse and head coach Liz Beville. And then after that, heading to Moyne men's and women's tennis with head coach Jeff Lonczak as the men's team gets set for this Friday in the NCAA championships. And now, here to start off hour number 2 at 10 a.m. Eastern time, we're here with Tracey Roman of the Moyne Dolphins softball team as their head coach. She has spent many a time on the show this year, and I'm so happy to have her back. Tracey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely. And I want to start with weather because before we went on the air, I had to put the sweatshirt on. I'm cold in my studio. Not that we don't have heat, but I am cold inside of this place. I have seen your team when you've been playing when it's 30. You've been playing when it's getting hot outside. It's literally been 30, 80, 75, 45. I mean, you've had a good season and the team's done a tremendous job and you have a lot of things to hang your hats on. But what's it been like? I know it's no different. I mean, it's upstate New York. It happens every year. But how do you navigate playing from 30 degrees to 80 degrees in like 2 weeks' time?
It's part of the process with what we do, especially as a team in the Northeast. But, it really comes down to our focus and our level. And as far as it pertains to mental toughness, you can let it get to you, or you can understand that weather is just simply something we have no control over, and both teams have to manage it on that particular day, whether it's 95 or, real field temperatures of 30 degrees, which I know you were there for. So we just have to try and keep our focus and remind ourselves when we step outside of that focus that, hey, weather is just part of what we deal with and it's not something we can control. So we can either use it and lean on it as an excuse as to why things aren't going our way, or we can focus on the things that we can control, which is what we try to do.
And we talk about, the way that you've been at home. You have definitely taken care of home field at Moyne on the Heights, 9-1 this season in familiar confines. Just bring me into that and how this team has truly taken care of familiar digs.
It's funny when we first, and it does just seem like a week ago, but when we had our first little homestead, we were all talking as a team how it doesn't really feel like a home field advantage because we haven't really practiced much on the field at that point. So I said, okay, instead of protecting the home, let's look at it as a vacation home that we're going to protect and not anybody come in here and take our home from us. And, the kids really took that to heart and they've been great at home. I don't even know what to say about that. They do something about being home. And, we've just happened to have a good amount of success on that field this year.
Yeah, it's been great. And then on neutral ground, you're 9-8 this season, being away from home and not at somebody else's home, but being in these travel games. And you and I talked about it going into the season, the level of competition you've seen on neutral fields, just what you could say about coming away with a winning record, knowing the level of competition you've had in the neutral territory area.
Yeah, it's a big part of our season. It's always a risk. It's a big risk to go out and play some of the teams that we play. But, we want to be playing our best softball right now. And I feel like it's critical to go out and play those games, even though it might be a risk to our overall record. I do think our team grows and gets better from it. And we learn how to persevere through things. And some of these conference games that we have been able to come back and get wins in, we've been behind and we've done a really good job when we are behind, coming back and getting some of those W's. So I think it really has paid off. I think, the kids have learned a lot from playing in those situations and persevering, which is huge down the stretch now.
We look at a bunch of these games that you and I spoke about earlier on in the season that you had on this neutral grounds and in different opportunities that you had when you went to the NFCA Leadoff Classic and you had Embry-Riddle down in Florida. You had Lincoln Memorial, who you defeated 4-3, who was 18th in the nation at the time. You had the University of Alabama in Huntsville that was 17th in the nation, and University of Indianapolis that went to 8 innings, 5-4. You ended up losing that by just 1 run, and they were 9th in the country. And obviously, there's other teams that we can add into this, and obviously feel free to. But your take on those games, did they pay off the dividends that you were hoping they would?
Well, I cringe when I look back to some of them. I just looked at the latest top 25 poll. University of Alabama Huntsville is now ranked 4th in the nation, and we led that entire game and ended up having a couple errors in the outfield that cost us. UIndy is ranked 6th in the country. Again, we made some costly errors, and again, earlier part of our season, first couple debuts out on the field, so those things are going to happen. But you look back at those games as a coach and like, you get a case of the woulda, shoulda, couldas. But no, I think it's great. You learn so much from losing games like that as well. I know we always want to come out with wins, but you learn a lot about your team and what you need to do better and different as the season goes on, so you're not repeating those mistakes. So, although I would have liked to get some of those wins and I cringe a little bit, I just think we've learned a lot in the process of failing along the way.
And you talk about, learning from that adversity. When you got into the NE10 play this season, you started off 0-4 and then lost 5 of the first 6, and then were able to turn it from there and win 6 in a row after that. So to lose 5 of 6 and then to win 6 in a row, what happened in that crossroad?
I think we started swinging the bat a little bit better. Our opening in the NE10, Bentley has just had a phenomenal year. We opened with them, and, of course, we had that rough game there that we were leading and ended up losing. But they are one of the best offensive teams in the conference. And then to move on to St. Anselm, who is 1 spot ahead of us right now, and then SNU, who's, contending at 10-10 right now. It's just a tough opening. And, sometimes I just think when we start conference play, sometimes kids tend to be a little more nervous because they know these games mean a little something different. So learning how to kind of temper that feeling and understanding, it's 21 outs no matter who you're playing. We got on board and just started swinging the bats again. That's been really what's made a huge difference.
Yeah, you talk about swinging those bats. I mean, we go back to the game, that you and I talked about right after the game, where, a bunch of runs are given up and then you respond by eclipsing that. I mean, we've seen the bats come alive as the season's gone on here. What do you attribute that to? Because it can't just be luck. I mean, it's timing, it's focus, it's understanding, it's preparation. So why do you feel like the bats of Moyne have started to spark later on in the season?
We spent, we took some of our fundraising dollars and were able to secure some facilities off-site, some batting cages. Sometimes we have some conflicts on campus with basketball in season. And in the past, managing COVID and just trying to figure out the facilities at Moyne and how everything's works as a newer coach, I thought we were really lacking with hitting. So this year we spent a decent amount of money on renting cages off-site where we could do some of those individual practice workouts and get to break down some of our hitters, attacking their weaknesses a little bit more and creating awareness. And I think that's made all the difference in the world. And also there's just so many analytics out on the game now and just services that you can subscribe to that tell you, percentages of times players strike out, and it's great for scouting, but it's also great for helping your own players get better because, I tell them all the time, I get these scouting reports for other teams. So, they have them on us. So it's important that we use them both ways, both for scouting opponents and improving our overall performance.
And what do you feel that, the team has done, like you said, utilizing some of these fundraising dollars to find off-site opportunities for you to continue to grow and blossom and work on certain things? What have you seen the team do with these opportunities when it comes to the bats? I mean, is there an over-encompassing theme of timing, of, just better decision making, of having a better eye to certain things, of being calmer at the plate, not feeling like they had to make a play in that moment and maybe swung a little bit too early or swung on an early pitch because of the fact that they felt a lot of pressure? Has there been an all-encompassing theme or two that you feel like the team is doing, be it more, having more calmness or having a better eye on it or just more of a laser focus? Are you seeing something collectively right now?
It's definitely, there's a sense of a collective kind of happening right now with our offense. But no, our overall theme is, our goal is always to put the ball and play hard. If you do that consistently, good things will happen. But we've also talked and spent a lot of time on being on time, as it pertains to making a choice early enough on a pitch and then being on time with that pitch, versus sometimes aggressive hitters will be out on their front foot. So we talk about how, hitting is a controlled state of aggression. You want to be aggressive, but that aggression is no good if you're way out in front and your timing is way off. So the timing piece is critical. And then learning, I think the biggest adjustment to the college game is, kids come in and they're not necessarily great at letting the ball travel deep enough for that outside pitch. So a lot of times, you'll see hitters be out a little bit too early and hit the ball hard, but it's probably straight up in the air, or it's a weak ground ball. So just getting them to identify that outside pitch and be able to, keep their head and shoulders on it and take it middle away, which has been another one of our focuses, trying to stay middle away. And we found great value in that in our loss to Shepherd down in Florida, because all they did was sit on the outside pitch and drive the ball middle away. So the kids, I think, saw the value in that. But no, it's been a lot of different things. But we also try to keep it as simple as possible, too. The last thing you want when it's time to compete are hitters thinking in the box. At that point, you got to trust where you are. And again, just try to be on time.
Coming here from Tracey Roman in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, part of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership between Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and Moyne College, as we take a look at softball with the head coach here, Tracey Roman. Tracey, the last 14 games, I know I talked about coming into conference, losing 5 of the first 6, then winning 6 in a row. In total, in your last 14 games, the team is 11-3. How is this team keeping their focus? Some teams get an ego. Some teams start feeling themselves. It's okay to have that passion. It's okay to have that celebration, right? But as a coach, do you have the 24-hour rule? Is it less than that because you're playing, games back to back? How much time do they have to enjoy the victory? And secondly, why do you feel like this team has been so focused at this point in the season?
Until you just mentioned it, I didn't know we were 11-3 in our last 4 games. Because, to your point, we're right on to the next one. We certainly celebrate the victory, but we play so many games in such a short span of time that, you have to live in the present, which is usually the next opportunity. So yes, we always try to acknowledge, what we did well, what we didn't do so well. And then we try to identify a plan of attack to take into practice based on, the type of pitching we're going to see for the next opponent, and we get right back at it. So you don't take a single win for granted, that's for sure. And I know the kids, the last thing I would call them is overly confident or arrogant right now. If anything, they don't understand how powerful our offense is. And I just keep trying to feed them that understand that people are looking twice at us right now offensively with what we've done in the conference, and build on that and take that to the plate with you every single time, knowing that they're worried about everybody in our lineup, which, not every team has the luxury of having that. So, but with a young team, like I said, they're the last thing they are is overly confident or arrogant at this point. We're just focused on the next team.
We talk about the offense, pitching and defense. Where is this team at right now, in your opinion?
I would like our pitching to be a little bit stronger. Our defense has definitely improved tremendously. So the good news is, with our offense being where it is, we've been able to out-hit some of the runs we're giving up, so we just have to continue along that trend. But, our pitchers are battling. We're getting some innings out of Julia and Stock, and of course, Laura throws pretty regularly, and we get Rose in there when we can as well. But our defense has really stepped up and is making some plays, and things have really started to come together there. So, rare is it that you're strong in all 3 things. It'd be nice. Every coach aspires to have that, but some years just aren't great years for individuals, and you do the best that you can with what you have. And that's why it's called a team. You have a bunch of different people picking up the slack when others might struggle.
Yeah. And like you said, picking up the slack, and you've been able to have the bats to combat if you have some struggles there in the pitching world. You talked about LB, Laura Bennett, who's been on the show, and she's been tremendous this season. And in your rotation outside of what LB has given you, how do you view them? Are they getting better? I know you have recruitment wise, you're going to have some pitching coming in after this season. So where is the rotation? And do you feel like there's some positives that have happened maybe in the last few doubleheaders that have maybe come through for you? Is there something that you can build on outside of LB?
Yeah, Julia, she has been a little inconsistent this year, I know, but last year she had a great win against UIndy, who was fourth in the nation. So I certainly know that it's in there, and she can do a good job. We have seen improvement from her 100%. What's hard with JP sometimes is, with her being a drop ball pitcher, the strike zone, some of the strike zones we've seen have been pretty tight, and she's had to come up pretty fat with some of her stuff, and you get exploited with that. So she's working on really hard, spinning the ball a little bit more, getting a little more break to both her curveball and her drop, which I think are steadily improving. And Mick has done the same. She is working on her curveball. We're working on locating that and throwing it as a strike, throwing it to mislead people into thinking it's a strike, and getting more off the plate. So yeah, I definitely think there's improvement. They battle every single day in practice, and they are certainly working on their craft, but taking it from practice to game, that comes with experience. And the only way they get experience is by continuing to put them out there.
Yeah, and when you see, what they've done as far as like where you are right now, like you said, working on different portions of it, there's an art to the dance of knowing when to put somebody in, when to take somebody out. As a coach this season with this specific group, do you feel like you've been able to kind of get a sense for when your pitchers need a little bit more, another inning, and maybe when it's time? Do you feel like they've kind of had that relationship with you where you kind of at this point know, or is it still a dance?
Yeah, I think I have a good handle on it. I think some days it's a dance, but for the most part, I have a pretty good handle on it. You never, no matter who's throwing, want to create such a deficit run-wise that it's too much to overcome. So yeah, you definitely want to give pitchers a little bit of chain, but you certainly have to be smart about it too, and know when enough's enough. And it's not personal. It's at the end of the day, we're still trying to capture wins for the team in the program. So, my goal, especially with Julia and Mick and a little of the inconsistencies, is even if we can get them through the lineup once or maybe twice, that's a big deal. And getting those two to work together, adding Rose to the mix, it's definitely taken some of the burden off of Laura, which is ultimately good. We don't want people seeing her, we'd like to have people see her as little as possible, really. But, like I said, I've seen a lot of growth, but, we definitely still have work to do.
And with that work to do, 5-9 on the road, you can leave the road this week with a 500 record, which would mean that you would have a winning record at home, a winning record neutrally, and a 500 record overall. When we take a look at the road itself, you're going to be at Pace on April 27th, this Thursday, with games back to back there in the doubleheader, and then you'll have a doubleheader on April 28th on Friday at noon and 2 approximately at Adelphi. We know that Adelphi, when we talk about these standings and whatnot, they're at the top of it all. And I know you had mentioned Bentley, but your thoughts on Adelphi, and then knowing that, Pace is literally right behind you, and Adelphi is at the top of the NE10. So not only are these games incredibly important in general to finish strong, but it's going to keep Pace off your tails. And at the same time, if you can grab at least one against Adelphi, it's going to put you in a better position in this top 5 in the NE10, and it's going to let people know kind of where you're at as you head into the postseason, which would be huge with Adelphi having the top record in the conference.
Right. Yeah. Listen, we end with a battle, and it's been Adelphi and Pace at the end of the year, the 3 years that I've had conference play since I've been a coach. And it's tough. Adelphi's been at the top. They're 37-6 right now. But when you're up there, the bullseye's on the front and the back, and that's why the games are played, right? So we look at that as an opportunity. We truly believe anybody can be beat in the conference. Everybody's primed for an upset. It happens. Pace has been struggling as of lately, but they're also playing. Pace has been playing some very tough teams. Some of the wins or games that they've lost are against other regionally ranked opponents. And a good percentage of Pace's losses, I know they went out and got 5 or 6 losses right in the beginning, playing top 25 teams. So Coach Beville down there at Pace knows what she's doing, and she goes out and she plays tough teams. So even if they're below us right now, I know that they're just as battle tested as we are, and it's going to be a dogfight, literally. So it always is. It always is. But that's what makes it fun. And of course, we need to try and make sure we do whatever we can to secure a couple wins, just for our own insurance as it pertains to postseason play. But really, you can only take it one game at a time, and focus literally on one pitch at a time.
We're in a place right now, too, where because of where Moyne is sitting, currently at 5th in the standings for the NE10 for the conference as we look toward the postseason, it is mathematically possible for Moyne to be in the top 3, depending on what Franklin Pierce and St. Anselm do and how you take care of the next couple days here this week. So knowing there's a lot on the line from spot 3, 4, and 5 where you're currently at, there's still wiggle room with a couple games to go, which I'm sure is nerve-wracking. But at the same time, it's also exciting to know that you are in control of your destiny to a certain extent of being in the top 5 and still having a chance to move up a spot or 2 before the postseason starts.
Yeah, 100%. We have to play great softball this weekend. But yeah, it's great, to be in a position where you could move up the ladder a little bit. But again, it's, as much as I say it, preseason polls, rankings this time of year, even where you're sitting in conference, you can't focus on those positions. You just have to focus on one pitch at a time and doing the best you can with every decision you're making out there, because that's what leads to the win, staying in that process. When you start calculating in your mind, well, if we do this and we do that, you get out of the cycle of being present, which is what you can actually control. So you take care of the stuff in the present, hopefully the results will take care of themselves, just by maintaining that focus. So, but it's hard to do this time of year. It's exciting. You're trying to play chess in your mind about who's going to end up where, but it's really a lost cause, because you got to go out and just focus on getting those W's for your team.
Do you feel like your team has been able to really lock in and shut out what's going on around them? Do you feel like the atmosphere and the environment of this softball team this season has been about truly one inning, next game, next inning, next move from here? Do you feel like the team has really locked in that focus? And can you get a sense for that right now?
Listen, we survived Dolphin Day and Dolphin weekend. We got 4 wins on that weekend, which, when you're college age students and you literally have temptation out there on campus, and the team understands that, this is what they work their whole lives for. This is what all the blood, sweat, and tears are for, all the sacrifices, everything they've done to have to get to this point where they are a college athlete competing for something. And I think our kids are laser focused, and they understand that, we've worked way too hard collectively and individually to get sidetracked by some of those distractions. I tell them, you can go party the rest of your life, but you have a very small window of opportunity to do the things that we're doing right now, which are pretty special. So I'm really proud of the way they've maintained their focus and, stayed diligent with their schoolwork, because with our travel schedule and the way things have changed, I think we've changed game times and not locations, sometimes locations, but days they're playing, they're missing a lot of class, and that adds additional stress too. So they've done a really good job juggling it all. But so I'm really, really proud of them.
Yeah. I think, from my seat, this has been a fast season that's just flown by, but a season where there's something to be excited about, and there's something brewing with this team. I don't think we have seen the best of the best yet. I think we're ramping up, and I hope I keep feeling that. I hope you keep feeling that, and I hope the team keeps feeling that there's more coming. There's more in that tank to get up that hill. So Tracey, as I've told you before, thank you for everything you're doing because you're making it fun. It's so exciting. And I've seen a lot of games, baseball and softball wise, and I got to give it up because you guys really make it fun. You make it interesting. You make it exciting this time of year to get around the diamond and see what it's all about. And you're worth the cold. You all of that. I mean, listen, I'm totally fine with it because when you get those W's, it's definitely worth it. But I mean, seeing what you've done and the work that you and the staff and the team have put together has been awesome. And it's not over. It's not done. There's plenty more to be had. I just got a good feeling about the work that's being put in. So you definitely got, you had me as a fan in the beginning, but I'm like really I'm excited right now. And I hope that you guys feed off of that exciting energy and the love that you have from the community because we're rooting for you and we're definitely hoping for big things this week.
Well, I appreciate that, Dan. I can tell you I am super excited. And there's just a great buzz around Moyne athletics in general right now. Most of our spring teams are having great success. Our men's and women's lacrosse teams, our tennis teams, our baseball team, men and women's track are having some great outings. There's a lot of just general buzz and excitement with all of our athletic programs in action right now. So it's an exciting time to be a Dolphin.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, the games got moved up from this weekend, this Thursday and Friday. Go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. You can also go to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com for this edition of Dolphin Dive. Miss Roman, thank you for your time, putting a spotlight on Lemoyne softball and getting us excited. I still am sitting in this chair saying to myself, we just sat on the couch and talked about the season starting. So, but here we are. And it's a good place to be in the top 5. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. We remain very grateful for the recognition you give our program and the visibility. So thank you for all that you do.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Pardon me. Can't thank you enough for being here. Allergies are fun. Happy to be here with you inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So a lot of great stuff and a great opportunity we had today to share in conversations with not one, not two, but three of the head coaches at Moyne College inside of this edition of Dolphin Dive. On Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of Moyne College, and that gives us the opportunity to give you coverage of the Moyne Dolphins unlike ever before, and the consistency of every Wednesday at 9 a.m. So weekly, at least once a week, you're going to hear from Moyne, as you have for almost 2 years now, on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. during Dolphin Time. The first and third Wednesday of each month dedicated to AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta, who will join us next week and speak on a lot of different things and important stuff that you're not going to want to miss. So AD and DT every first and third Wednesday, and every second and fourth we jump into the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, and of course telling the stories of teams in general, past, present, and future. And today, getting to tell the story of Moyne women's lacrosse with Liz Beville, their head coach, and then with men's tennis and their head coach Jeff Lonczak, and with softball, their head coach Tracey Roman, all here in this trio of Dolphin content inside a Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So, a lot of great stuff coming up here, folks. There's going to be a mock draft tomorrow on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So I'm going to be having some fun with the mock draft. We're going to do some cool things with Al Romano as well. You're going to come out and see us at Pizza Man Pub tomorrow night. We're going to start at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night at Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. The draft will officially start round one at 8 p.m., which means the first pick will come at like 8:37, because that's how it is. The first, if they say it's going to start at 8, it doesn't truly start at 8. And then the picks just, I mean, it just keeps on going and going and going. And I feel like if you get the first 3 picks in an hour, that's a good thing if you can get to that point. So we're going to be there ushering in the NFL draft at Pizza Man Pub. I'm very excited about that, to go out to Pizza Man with Al Romano, who won a national championship in college with the Pitt Panthers, and many of his teammates, including Tony Dorsett, the well-known running back at Pitt, and with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL. So Al Romano, Off the Rails with Al, that's going to be happening tomorrow, Thursday, April 27th. We're going to reprise our roles as your draft duo, and so we'll be on stage at Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York at 6:30, starting things off, bringing you through our predictions, our thoughts on the draft, and on the NFL and big news that's happened. Al and I will be talking about so many different topics as we are your primer into the NFL draft this season. So come out and see us, no matter who your favorite team is, who you're rooting for, and what you're excited about when it comes to the NFL. Head out to Pizza Man and share some time with Al and I tomorrow night, as we will be bringing you our NFL draft primer and talk on the NFL in general. So very excited to be doing that, and can't wait to share that with you exclusively on site at Pizza Man Pub. So a lot of great stuff coming up in just a day. And tonight, speaking of great things coming up, tonight we're going to be on site, on location at the Wildcat Sports Pub, as Wake Up Call is going to be going live tonight in a very special Syracuse Mets spotlight early on in their season. They've had a couple series at home, and the Syracuse Mets general manager Jason Smorrell will be joining me at the Wildcat Sports Pub on the main side. I know that you're used to seeing us on the stage in the nice long leather couches. We're going to be on the main side of the Wildcat tonight, so the opposite side of the stage. When you walk into the Wildcat Sports Pub, we're going to be there probably around the gaming area, and Jason Smorrell and I will be at a high top tonight talking on the Syracuse Mets, the Mets in general, and baseball, and some great things that are coming up with the Syracuse Mets. So don't miss a second of that. You'll have the opportunity to meet Jason Smorrell and I over at the Wildcat Sports Pub tonight, right here on April 26th. And it's going to be happening at 6 p.m. So easy to remember, April 26th at 6, we'll be at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York tonight, and we can't wait to see you out there. So very much looking forward to that, and hoping to see you in just a few hours on site, on location at the Wildcat to talk about the Syracuse Mets. If you're out of town, you can go to any one of the channels that we're on right now, which I'll put up on the screen, on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. You could go to any one of these avenues and you'll be able to watch and hang out with us, which I'm very excited to have the opportunity to do that. So make sure that you come out and hang out with us. And if you can't make it out there, that you go on to any one of these outlets anywhere in the world, and you can watch our Syracuse Mets coverage in our spotlight tonight at the Wildcat Sports Pub at 6 p.m. as we go live at the Wildcat on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We will be going live on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning into the show every Monday through Friday on these same channels, on youtube.com and facebook.com /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. And once those shows go live, you can jump into our archives and find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big time shout out to our incredible partners in this community of Central and Upstate New York, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Great Lakes Honda City, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mother's Cupboard, where we have our sandwich every single day on the menu from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. I have my own sandwich there called the Cuse McMother. It's a spin on the breakfast sandwich. It's bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. You could pick it up and eat it like a sandwich, or you could cut it up with some syrup and eat it that way with cinnamon and sugar on top. Either way you like it. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Big time shout out to K9 Campground Dog Boarding, and for being so good to Miss Lily. Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Watertown, and 317 at Montgomery Street. We just shot a new Downtown with Dan. Don't miss out on your opportunity to see it. That new Downtown with Dan featuring the 317 Smash Burger, which is phenomenal and very, very much worth your lunch and going out there for dinner as well. So find your way over to 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant in downtown Syracuse. And of course, we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and as we had here today, the Dolphins are featured on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time and during Dolphin time, and bonus coverage throughout the year as well. First and third Wednesday of each month, you'll find AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Second and fourth Wednesday of each month, like today, you'll find the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. So don't miss a second of all of our coverage here with the Moyne College Dolphins and all of their sports, putting a spotlight on the Heights in a way like you've never had before. Big time shout out to the Dolphins. As always, Fins Up. And for more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, proud multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora exclusively. You can find your Bobcats with us every single month, where sports meets life here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, covering their men's and women's soccer teams, men's and women's basketball, and baseball in its inaugural season. Don't miss a second of all the awesome coverage that we have here with those Bobcats of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. You can find them on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com and by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Bobcats, head to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And I do want to make a note, because I didn't say it there before, but I typically do. You could find all of our Lemoyne content by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com and by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. So make sure that you do that as well. A big time shout out and many thanks to my amazing guests inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. A big thanks to Liz Beville, and a big time shout out to the women's lacrosse team, which will have 2 more games in the regular season, both at home. Today, Wednesday, April 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and this Saturday, April 29th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss a moment of that, as the team is on an 8-game winning streak, trying to keep that going, and a 13-2 record overall as they are moving toward the postseason. So go out and support Moyne Dolphins women's lacrosse, Liz Beville, and the entire crew out there, and much appreciation for Liz taking some time today. A big thanks to Jeff Lonczak as well, the men's and women's tennis head coach at Moyne College for the Dolphins, and Jeff taking the men's tennis team into the NCAAs with an opportunity this Friday, April 28th, on site, on location in Flushing, New York at Queens College, to go up and have the opportunity to take on Stack, St. Thomas Aquinas College, at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and hopefully win that game and get to move forward from there and get another crack at Queens, who they met earlier on in the season on the road. So Jeff Lonczak and the team on the road this Friday, April 28th, in the NCAA championships, and very much excited for them to be deeper into the postseason and have an opportunity for more life. So a lot of love and a lot of appreciation to the men's and women's tennis teams. My best to the men's tennis team on the road this week. And you will hear from Tom Jarry as well as Peter Hatton this Friday ahead of the matches that they have coming up here. So a lot of great stuff coming up with Peter and Tom and you don't want to miss it in hour 2 of Friday's broadcast this April 28th between 10 and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And a massive shout out as well to Tracey Roman, who has joined me all throughout the season and before the season to speak on her team with the softball side of things, 23-18 at the time that we're talking right now, and in the top 5 of the NE10 with the opportunity to move up a couple spots with a couple double headers coming up here. They were supposed to be over the weekend on the road, but because of weather, they've been moved up. So they're going to be played tomorrow and Friday. So this Thursday, April 27th, and this Friday, April 28th, the softball finale regular season games will be going on ahead of the NE10. And with the team in the top 5, like I said, a ton of congratulations to them with more life and more of an opportunity to move up here in the standings. Could be in the top 3 when all is said and done, and also could be number 4 or stay at number 5. So hopefully that will continue to grow and blossom as this season has so very well. And we've seen the Dolphins on the softball field just do a tremendous job and getting better with time like a fine wine. So they'll be playing this Thursday at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in a doubleheader at Pace in Pleasantville, New York. And then they'll go from there on, and they'll travel to Garden City, New York for Friday to play at noon and 2 at Adelphi in a doubleheader there to round out the regular season for the softball team. Like I said, once again, 23-18 and in the top 5 in the NE10 with a record of 12-8 and an opportunity to move up a spot or 2 from here. So many thanks and a big time shout out to Tracey Roman, who's locked in with her team to make a splash here to end the regular season and head into the NE10 postseason. So, with all that being said, find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. A lot of great stuff coming up tomorrow. It is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it's draft day tomorrow. Tomorrow is the NFL draft. That's insane. The draft starts tomorrow with round 1, round 2 and 3 on Friday, and round 4 through 7 on Saturday. Will I watch them all? Yeah, I will, because I love the draft. So very excited for that. Many thanks, and just a huge appreciation to the Buffalo Blitz that had me on yesterday. I want to thank Peter and Lance for bringing me on for the entire show last night, and I'll be putting up a link so you guys can check it out. I talked a lot about Syracuse prospects, the Jaguars, and the Buffalo Bills, so a lot of great stuff coming up, and excited to share that with you. Once again, thanks to Liz, Jeff, and Tracey. I hope you all have a phenomenal day. Take care of yourselves and be good to each other. And as always, God bless